Lone Ranger and Tonto were out camping one night. When Tonto, in the middle of the night, shakes the Lone Ranger and says, "Kemosabe, wake up." So the Lone Ranger wakes up from his sleep and says, What's going on, Tonto? And Tonto says, "Look up into the sky and tell me what you see." Well, confused and still half asleep, the Lone Ranger looks up and says, "Well, I see stars up there. Why?" And Tonto says, "Well, what does that tell you?" And the Lone Ranger says, still half asleep, says, "Well, Tonto, I guess meteorologically speaking, it tells me it's a clear night. It's going to be a pretty day tomorrow. Astronomically speaking, it tells me that there are probably billions of galaxies out there. Theologically speaking, it tells me that God is big and we are, by comparison, very, very small." And then the Lone Ranger stops and says, "Wait a minute, why? Tonto, what does it say to you?" And Tonto says, "It tells me somebody stole our tent." See, two people can observe the very same thing. Two people can experience the very same thing, and yet interpret those same things very, very differently and draw very different conclusions regarding the same set of circumstances or information. How is it that two people perhaps who have much in common, for example, they live in the same country or the same state or the same county or the same city or in the same family, how can two people who have so much in common see and observe and perceive the same set of information and yet draw very different conclusions about that set of information? Well, the answer to that question lies in an understanding of worldviews. Worldviews. We all have a worldview that informs our beliefs, our behaviors, and our attitudes. Now, I'd like to put on the screen a working definition of a worldview. Your worldview is a framework from which you perceive reality and make sense of life in the world. It's a good definition for us to hang our hats on over the next several weeks as we talk about worldviews. Your worldview is the framework from which you perceive reality and make sense of life and the world. As Christians, it's important for us to have a biblical worldview. In other words, it's important for us as we observe all that's going on around us, that we look through the lens of Scripture to understand and interpret those things and to draw conclusions about those things based on what God says rather than what the world says. As Christians, it's our job to bring God's perspective to bear in our world. We're His ambassadors. So it's important for us to have a biblical worldview. However, as I shared a few weeks ago in another sermon, very few Christians in America have a biblical worldview. In fact, several weeks ago, I shared with you the results of a survey that was done by the Cultural Research Center at Arizona Christian University. They did a poll, they did a survey, and here's what that survey found. That survey found that of all professing Christians living in the United States, only 6% have a biblical worldview. What that means is 94% of professing Christians in our country perceive and understand the world through a lens other than the Bible, through cultural lenses. Okay, in this series, the goal of this series is to make sure to clarify what it means to be in the 6%. Redeemer, we want to be 6%ers. We want to make sure that we are seeing life and the world through the lens of Scripture. Thank you for watching this video on First Redeemer's YouTube channel. If you enjoyed it, click like below and leave us a comment. And if you'd like more content like this, click subscribe and turn on your notifications. Thanks again for watching.